A very good evening again, and here we go again to talk Manchester United. It's just 5 minutes past the hour of 10. A few minutes late, but it's all for the right reasons to get real prepared for you as we do get into this proper big Manchester United talk. It's been a different day today. I've been a little under the weather today. I don't know what's happening to me, but I guess I will be able to pull off at least the list will be 30 minutes, the list, but I will try to ensure that I push for 1 hour as we talk about Manchester United. There's no room for feeling ill when we do have a big game coming up, but also when Sir Jim Ratcliffe means business. My name is Webb. Where are you at? Let me know in the comment section as we do get proper into this serious Manchester United talk, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe means business, as 11 players are expected to go out. At least 11 players, guys. We are thinking perhaps there could be 7 or 6 guys. It's going to be 11 players according to reports coming from Manchester. And these include footballers. Of course, the 11 will be footballers, but there are also non-footballers who include the man you see there on your screen. We'll talk about him and his role at Manchester United. But also, we've got to build up to the game coming that is expected to be an interesting one. Our game against Fulham. We'll talk about it in a bit. Who exactly is going to be in for that one? But welcome to the United of Sport. My name is Webb, guys. I've got some quotes for you in case you missed the quotes from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Beautiful quotes coming in there, and we are going to peruse through them very fast, one by one, starting off with that one. You see from the exclusive interview that he dropped to the Manchester United channel, but also, of course, there were media there. Of course, other media did get in on the interview, but those are the statements. Any team that wears the Manchester United badge on their shirt is important to the club because they are wearing the badge and they need to be successful in winning. That includes our women's team, as you see in set right there in that where you see that quote. The women's team as well is so important to Sir Jim. So success will include certainly the women's team as well. Many of you might wonder why is he talking about the women's team, but it's an important part of the whole setup, the whole squad. As you can see, look at that beautiful girl there, one of the footballers there, the first one smiling there, so beautiful. That's not Gabby George. That should be Militana. That should be Militana, one of our players there. Beautiful as the world, isn't she? Beautiful smile. And yeah, so yeah, the girls are important. He also went on again, another quote from the interview. Well, on the pitch is really simple. I think only interest we have is in winning football matches and competing for the Premier League and competing for the Champions League. That's Sir Jim again, talking about what we are all about on the pitch, which he just wants to see us win football matches. I'm giving you this so that we build to what exactly he's going to be doing to achieve that. These are things he stated. These are quotes from his interview. That and humor. Of course, you've got to have a bit of humor when you're working. You try to be funny and all, but what being business, you've got to have rigor. Rigor means being attentive to every detail. To every detail, leave no stone unturned. You've got to be as meticulous and perceptive as you can be. So those are the things they live by as Ineos, and those are part of the things they want to instill in the culture of Manchester United, because this is now part of Ineos. That's one of the moments of my life. Of course, I'll never forget it. That's an extraordinary moment, but that's what football's all about, isn't it? Talking about the treble of 1999. Of course, we will perhaps now will seek to win even more, because Man City, our neighbors in blue, also achieved it. He spoke about Eric Cantona as well, and how he would be excited to meet him. And I'll give you that quote about Anthony. We are due to have lunch, so it will be really interesting. He knows Ineos Sports CEO Jean-Claude Blanc well, so I'm really looking forward to that. He is quite a character. Jean-Claude Blanc, remember, is going to be sitting on the board of Manchester United as well, as instituted by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So Sir Jim has a plan to work with the legends of Manchester United, and we are told that Gary Neville is one of those who have been contacted. to come in a role of, I think, as they try to redevelop the stadium and improve it, or change a few things around the stadium, is going to be consulted as a legend of the club. Now, speaking of legends, he also spoke about Sir Alex Ferguson. I've met Sir Alex 2 or 3 times since Christmas, and I knew him a little bit anyway. I mean, he's the world's most iconic coach, and he's just an essential part of that Manchester United history. That's Sir Jim again. These are quotes from the interview, guys. It's important for you to see the snippets into what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is all about as we head into this period of him. Then he goes on to talk about, I'm not interested in the financial aspect of this investment at all because I make enough money in chemicals and oil and gas. This is not a financial investment. It's because I'm interested in seeing Manchester United being successful again. So for him, it's not like the Glazers, exactly what we needed. It's not about the money. That's why he bought 27.7%, and that's for strictly the football operations, and that's for him what he's interested in. And he said we give him just 3 years at least, 3 years for us to think to be at the level of Manchester City and 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 uh, and Liverpool. Then Carrington is fairly impressive. I think I quite like Carrington as a facility. I mean, I think there are things that we can do to improve it, but I don't think they are of the magnitude that the stadium requires. So that's him being asked about the renovations at Carrington, and he had spoken about those at Old Trafford earlier, of course, and this is what he said about Old Trafford and whether or not he's going to build a new facility or it's just refurbishing this existing Old Trafford. There are clearly two roads we could take rather. We could refurbish the existing stadium or we could look at building a new stadium. And that's one of any of the most iconic objects or rather structure, if I would call it structure, in the north of England. That's his aim. Then, of course, it's an impressive stadium and it's the largest Premier League stadium in the country, the second largest stadium in the country to Wembley, but it's not quite of the standard you would expect of Manchester United today. Look at that ambition, guys. Look at the ambition from this man. Talking about Old Trafford and justifying why he really thinks there is need to change it. And I love this one. For me, I saved the best for last. For me, this was the best. This was the best quote from him. These shareholders, myself and the Glazer family, we do not own the club. The true owners of the club are the fans, the community, and we are merely guardians or stewards for a period of time of the club. Beautiful stuff there from Sir Jim. Look at him there with Hoyland and Sir Dave Brailsford. But Hoyland is so tall because Sir Jim is an extremely tall guy. But you can imagine Hoyland is taller than him. So that's Ineos for you. Now let's get proper into the work being done. And of course, good to have you on, Anolin Aliguma. Good evening. Anolin Aliguma saying City bought the treble. You go on to say, I would love to have Ragnick back at United. I think Ragnick's role, I think, was done because part of what he did in terms of writing a report and all is part of what Ineos best on to try and make the improvements. But also, it's part of why enabled the Glazers to actually make the decision to sell, and they accepted that, you know what, we can't do this stuff because Ragnick gave them a proper report of the rot at the club and what needs to be done. Remember when he told United needed a heart surgery? What did they call it? I think that's the word. Those are the words he used. We need a proper heart surgery, like you dissect the heart of the club and dissect it, a proper surgery. That's what he said we needed, and indeed, that's what exactly Ineos are doing. So I think he sort of gave the template, talking about the lack of culture. I think Ragnick, of all managers, was Sir Alex, and you can laugh at him having no profile, no history in management, but I honestly think the job he did at United in the few months he was there was the most important job for us in terms of leading us where we are, because he came and said properly dissected the problem, gave a comprehensive report, and he said we needed open heart surgery. That's the word he said. Those are the words he used. That United needs open heart surgery. Beautiful stuff there. So for me, he doesn't need to come back as a manager. He can be there And I think he was meant to stay there in a consultancy role and stuff, but maybe he felt he had done all the work he needed to do, and he wanted to move on into other things, which for me, I love the fact that we're beginning to see happen now. But let's start off, of course, with what's happening. Of course, the work has begun. We are done with the messages and all the pleasantries and the welcome. It's now business. And speaking of business, Darren Fletcher is among the senior figures who face uncertain futures at Manchester United. Now, Fletcher, who is a former player of Manchester United, apparently in the new structure, where that Ineos is going to put in place. Currently, he's at United as a technical director, but of course, certainly, technical director is the job that we want to give Dan Ashworth. And clearly, if you look at where we are, really, there is no direction really in terms of our football. So you would be right to think that he failed flat in his role as a technical director, because maybe you can only credit him for if he was part on his KPI, if recruiting youngsters, identifying youngsters, or even nurturing youngsters was part of his KPI. Maybe you can give him a bit of credit for that. But in terms of the general whole structure and where we are going, probably the job got a little too big for him. So as technical director, I think there is no doubt that it's only expected. That's why we want to even pay for Dan Ashworth to come in. That's the exact job he's going to come in and take. So Darren Fletcher is one of those who are going to be leaving, backroom staff who are going to be leaving, and I think it's a question of where. But the moment we see the announcement will be made, and that should be soon, because Sir Jim said it himself that he was willing to do anything to get that done. There's a one Matt Hargreaves as well, who could be leaving as part of the structure changes, and he's really a lesser known figure, and he was in the role of a transfer negotiator that he assumed last summer. Excuse me. So for Fletcher, I became a technical director in 2021, if you do recall, in 2021 with Oregana Social in place. But Matt Hargreaves also was just made the transfer negotiator, and he's a guy who would say negotiated some of the worst deals in football, I think, at Man United, including that of those of the likes of Mason Mount. Darren Fletcher is leaving, but really, if he was the technical director, and that's how we are performing, we had no direction at all. We had no identity. I think he should be the culprit number one. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. So he's leaving, and so are 11 players. Now, 11 players, according to reports we got, are bound to leave Manchester United. Now, these sound many, but last night, we were counting players here. The number of players you think would start Man United, I think we could barely raise 7 or 8. So it's really a bit obvious that we really don't have a squad. And someone was asking me about the squad and whether we've got a squad that can come and stand compete. I think we need to overhaul this squad, because 11 players, that tantamounts to overhauling, literally players in all departments and senior players at that. The Harry Maguires, there are 5 Varens. Andrew Nana is not safe. So many of these players are not safe at all. Speaking of those who are not safe, even the injured Luke Shaw might not be. Shaw has sustained a muscle injury and will be out for an extended period. This is the official statement from the club. I broke it for you, I think, yesterday or the day before. Further assessment is still needed to determine the severity, but we expect him to be absent for a few months. This is the report. This is the official short statement made by the club. However, I saw somewhere that there is hope that he could be available for the Euros for England. I don't think we would care about the Euros really. I think for us, what we care about now is United and which players are available for us. Now, speaking of those, then we can talk about the young Harry Amos, who has been spoken about as a possible inclusion in the next squad. Because remember, we thought he would be in the squad for the game of the weekend, but surprisingly, Luke Shaw turned up and he started the game, only for him not even to finish the first half. But Harry Amos could come in. There is no time for us to recall what's his name? Alvaro Fernandez, who is on loan at Benfica, the other left back, who looked impressive, by the way, during the preseason. I don't know whether you people watch preseason games, but if you did, because I watched all of them, of course, the two of the US games were late early in the morning, and I would wake up here and do those watch alongs. And he was one of the revelations, I think, of the preseason. He looked decent. We loaned him to Preston, loaned him to Preston and which other team? First to Preston, then Granada in Spain. We loaned him to Granada, where Pelistri is now. Came back, and now we loaned him out to Benfica. So we could recall him. He said he has played only a few games in Benfica. I think about 2 league games, 2 or 1 league game, coming off the bench. When they are winning like 3-0. So uh, you don't expect much from him, but he's a promising talent who I think really we can bring in to salvage the season, because we've got a whole 13 games to go uh, to end the season. So there should be a solution. Really, I don't think we'll finish the season playing with Amrabat and Lindelof playing out of position. We need to figure out how we are going to put a more able player in that position. There are suggestions that Eric Ten Hag could choose to play one of the 2 centre-backs in the right, then put Diogo Dalot on the left. And that centre back would be Harry Maguire, probably playing on the right. Then in central defense, you have Johnny Evans playing alongside Rafael Varane, or drop in a Willy Kambwala, play Kambwala on the right, then Varane and Evans or Varane and Harry Maguire play in the central defense. So there is, of course, has got to be a level of creativity from Eric Ten Hag. My only disquiet about that would then be sort of killing both flanks, because if you remove Diogo Dalot from the right, he has looked consistent, one of our better players playing with the right. If you sacrifice him and put him on the left, first of all, you're limiting his overlapping. So he's going to be there just to defend, but also whoever will replace him in the right will not be able to give us what he has been giving us on the right. So meaning both flanks are dead. You would rather sacrifice the left, put there your Amrabat or Lindelof, if that's the one you want to go with, but you know that there are no overlapping runs from the left, then let's make the right wing as effective as it can be. So again, it's for Eric Ten Hag to think and figure out a solution. But there are 13 games to play, very important games, more than finals for us, because we've got to push for top 4. But for Eric Ten Hag, he has got to keep his job. Sir Jim won't care about the lack of a left-footed player in his squad, or what. At the end of the season, if we have not performed well, Sir Jim will, based on where we are in the log, which games we've won. I've shown you the quotes there. He's all about winning games of football. At the end, they will just come and scrutinize Eric Ten Hag's season, and trust me, they will fire him if we haven't performed. So he has got to be creative as a manager. If not that, he should resort to a back 3. Anolina Alguma saying we should clean the house before we bring in new furniture. Exactly. Exactly. You're sounding like Jose Mourinho, who said part of the issues he got during his time is he wanted to clean the house in his second season, and he knew exactly which furniture he wanted out, but he was not allowed the opportunity. So yeah, he had to just try and fix and add in a few new players, and that's when he went for Fred. He went for Fred and who? I forget the other person. He signed Fred and signed Eric Bailey, but I forget the other person who came with Fred. The other player he signed with Fred. So yeah, so we've got to clean the house, and that's exactly what's going on now at Carrington. But looking ahead to the next game, looking ahead of our next game with Fulham, it's an important game, guys. It's first of all the first game with the new owner coming in place. You think first of all we want us to win it for Sir Jim. I think the players now know that they have got to win this game for Sir Jim. I think that should be obvious for them that there is no one else, there is no other motivation, but we should be winning this game for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, that's good motivation, but we are facing an opponent who we struggled to beat. We beat Fulham in the last minute. Did I call it West Ham earlier? I hope I didn't. But we beat it in the last minute. Remember that goal from Bruno Fernandes? Guys, you might wonder why I'm sounding a bit low. I've been a little under the weather, so that's why I'm talking as calm as I am. But yeah, I think we've got to talk Man United regardless. But yeah, I was saying The reverse fixture with Fulham was a bit a hard-earned victory for us. We labored, we struggled, but with the personnel we have now in place, I'm thinking it should be an easier one. Kobe Maino is getting praises left, right, and center from everyone, including players he's playing with, like Casemiro, who he plays with in the middle. And I'm expecting that Eric Ten Hag this time does what he did in the second stanza. Don't be surprised if Casemiro doesn't start. I'm actually expecting Scott McTominay to start ahead of him, with Kobe sitting at the base of that midfield. Or if Casemiro starts, I think he should be the one playing with closer to Bruno, and we have Kobe Maino sit at that base because I think he mans it better than Casemiro. I've been watching a stat here. I've been reading a stat as I was coming on. An interesting stat. Let me try to look for it. That showed that they have made the player who has had the most runs made past them in the Premier League is Casemiro. It's here. I'm hoping it's a credible source. WhoScored.com. This should be a credible source. But it's saying most times dribbled passed per game in the Premier League this season, 10 plus appearances. 2.42 is Casemiro. Then 2.24 Trent Alexander-Arnold. 2.2 Matthias Jensen. 2 Alexis McAllister. 1.92 Bruno Fernandes. These are the most times dribbled past per game in the Premier League this season. The most number of times they have dribbled past a player. Now, that's a very poor stat for a holding midfielder to have. It's a very bad stat to be written on a holding midfielder. So that's how bad it has been for Casemiro, and that's why I'm saying he has got to be maybe switched position, or because Eric Ten Hag still doesn't want to play, he's not going to change his style to play two holding midfielders. But you see, with the lack of a left back, a natural left back, I think it would be easier for whichever person he would put in there to fill the gap. If Eric Ten Hag was playing with two blocking midfielders, then the load on the left would be easy it would be easy to give them support on the left, because we know that the Fulham will come to exploit the left, because that's where our weakest link is. They will come, and if it's Victor Lindelof there, they will camp there. From all day, all night, they will just go there and trying to force him into errors. So he needs to have a proper support. So if you have one holding midfielder, then it's going to be difficult if you have a single pivot, because then that person, if they try to go to support him, they will be exposed. They will be exposed, in the middle. Will be exposed in the middle. So that's why I'm thinking one way there are smart ways for Eric Ten Hag to manage and support the left, and we have a bit of a balance there. Have a midfielder, two blocking midfielders, so that the one blocking on the left commit more, be inclined more to that side. Or change, and if he did that in a 3-5-2, it would even be easier. Or a 3-5-2. So you have your three center backs. You have your Varane, Maguire, and Lindelof. Play them as center backs in the back three. Then have Kobe Maino stand in front of them as a schema. Let Casemiro block on the left. Let Bruno block on the right. Then have maybe Garnacho. Yeah. So back three, you have your three at the base, two blocking midfielders. You have Garnacho on the right, Marcus Rashford on the other side. Then have Højlund. I think there should be one more left now. Have Højlund. So you can add in Amrabat. Actually, because if you play back three, it gives you an extra number to add a midfielder on. So what he can do with the back three, because it doesn't have a natural footed player, is back three, Maguire, Varane, and Diogo Dalot. Then have wing backs. Or you have Rashford together with Garnacho on the extra wings on the sides. Then here in the middle, have your schema as Kobe Maino. Then have Casemiro blocking on one side. Have Amrabat blocking on the other side. Then let Bruno be with Højlund up top. Yeah, makes sense. So that for me, that's that's the formation we used to play now in my academy as kids, and we used to beat everyone and anyone. I used to play as the blocking midfield on the left, or at times as a schemer, or as a left-footed winger crossing. Because back then wingers used to cross the ball, cut back, or yeah. So yeah, there are creative ways Eric Ten Hag can manage this. Honestly, I think there are creative ways he can do it. I'm eager to see how he's going to handle it. The issue I have with Ten Hag is he's extremely extremely stubborn. He sticks to his guns. He's a one trick pony at times that he doesn't want to change even if things are not working. He will stick to the same methods, stick to them every day. And for me that's a bit of a problem. That's my issue with him. But if he's creative, he has got the personnel who can beat Fulham. Yes, a 3-5-2, but it's also a very good formation where if you want to build from the back, because what that does when you're starting the ball, when Onana is starting the ball, then the one of the central midfielders goes to the corner flag. The defenders rather, one of the the three defenders, one goes to the corner, the other goes to the other corner, one goes to the left, the other goes to the right. Then they stretch the middle. They are inviting two. Of course, they are already inviting two players to go and follow them, creating space for the centre back to receive the ball. But in between him, there are two options. There is a schema, three options actually. There is a schema. That's the would be number 4, Kobe Maino, who can pick the ball. There is two blocking midfielders who can also receive the ball. There is a lot of spaces for him to start play from. So it doesn't change how he wants to play. In fact, I think that formation is the best formation for teams that want to play from the back. We always what Eric Ten Hag wants to play now is how we played in my academy when we were kids, under 14, under 12. I recall almost. Well, for him, he does it with a back four. We used to do it with a back three. So when you're starting, your your number three and number two, like would call them by numbers. Your number three on the left and the number two, they would go wide, go up to almost near the corner flag, so that the goalkeeper starts the ball to them. But if they invite bodies, they invite people, the strikers, the opposing team will go follow them to try and uh, stop them from getting the ball. They are creating space in the middle where a schemer can get space for himself and ask for the ball. The schemer is usually your best player on the ball, and in our case, it's Kobe Main. Should be the one scheming. Yeah? Should be good with long passes. He's a comfortable, good scanning. Those are the attributes of a good schemer. So yeah, we can. Sir Jim and his structure should try to avoid signing average players. We should sign players with physicality, consistency, availability, technicality, character, and discipline. The kind of player, and Sir Jim will not worry about which players we sign. The kind of player who will be signed going forward from the next summer at Manchester United will be defined. That kind of player will be defined. A Manchester United player will be defined. You see, for a long time, we haven't had a defined Manchester United player. I think you can define a Barcelona player, you can try to define a Man City player. You see the players Man City has, you can define them. They are defined because there should be a proper structure set by Tiki Bajelenstein, Dizomar Beradas, Pep Guardiola himself, of the profile of a player who should play for Man City in the way they want to play. Now, the director of football has got to define the way we want to play and define in the detail breakdown. You're defining what are the attributes of a Man United player. That a Man United goalkeeper should have these abilities. They should be tall, 10 feet, they should be small, not big. That's why I'm telling you, even Andrew Nana might not be safe because he's a little big. Now, in the event that Dan Ashworth's strategy or his plan of the DNA of a Man United player, if the profile of a Man United goalkeeper, you realize that most of the best goalkeepers are lean. They are not big. Onana is big. He has got, unless he's like a weightlifter. You're not supposed to be that big as a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are always, I'll tell by the size. You can recall Edwin van der Sar. Well, you can say Peter Schmeichel was a little big, but Peter Schmeichel was even. He was muscular, but he was tall, and he's naturally tall and huge. Even now, he's old, but he's a giant. I think a little. So the new structure, the new that the director properly define the characteristics of a United player, position per position. The midfielder should be this style. They should have this strength. They should have this. So all those will be defined. I said, Anolini spoke about David De Gea exactly. So again, it will depend on what will be defined by the director of football. But that's the job of the director of football to define. So as the manager and the recruitment team, when you're seeking players, you know that our midfielders, the profile of our midfielder should be like this. We don't want extremely muscular players like these Cameroonians, the Patrick Mbomas, if you recall them, the Jemba Jembas. No, we want small players like Sergio Busquets. Maybe those are players who will suit how we play. Or we can say our holding midfielders should have the physique of Rodri. So you define that player. They should be this height, this big, this have these technical abilities, this fast. Then you find players on the market who are like that. Tick. Go for them. What are the options? What are the costs? Go for that. So all those details are defined in the plan that is put in place by the director of football. So that job, that's why I'm saying the technical director, because it's a technical job. Technical. It's a technical job. You're supposed to support, you're supposed to think for the club. In fact, the technical director and the manager should always work in hand. That's why technical directors usually are capable of being managers. Dan Ashworth, I told you, was a coach. He was a coach himself. So of being coaches, the word should be even coaches, not managers per se, because managers are managing people. But a technical director should be a coach, like technical enough to coach football. That in the event that the coach is there is an emergency situation, they can even come in and sit in for the coach. So that's you're supposed to be taking. So that's why you see it's working with Arsenal. You look at Arsenal, Edu and Mikel Arteta both understand the game technically extremely well. Very important to have a technical director. There's anything like that. So yeah, all those will be defined, and I'm sure with the transparency I see with Sir Jim, probably they will come and announce when it's all done with Dan Ashworth is given the time to do the work and stuff, put in place the structure and define the profiles of the DNA of the player, of a United player, and that will go up to the women's team, even the academy. How should a kid recruited by Man United, be like? Which community should they come from? What kind of parents should they have? If you're going to be a midfielder to come at the age of 8 at the United Academy, what kind of profile should you have? Should you be tall? Should you be big? Should we rely more on African players? Because Kobe is now the template. You see, people don't realize that the advantage we have in having a Kobe Maino there is Kobe Maino and Hoyland can be the benchmark for a future United player. Like the future striker of Man United should have these abilities, and they define Rasmus Hoyland. They should be pacey, good positioning, well built, giants like this, tall, fast, all those. Then the holding midfielder should be like Kobe. We need, I think, more African players from West Africa have those genes, because football is extremely scientific, genetic, partly. Like, there's a certain level of genes you need to have to be able to play a certain way, to be a certain footballer. It's like being an NBA player. You won't look for NBA players in Kasese, somewhere in the far corner of Uganda, that you're looking for NBA players. No, you either go to Sudan or you stay in the US, or go to those countries that have tall people, tall players. So those are genetic things. So even in football, technical director has got to define that if we want, this is the profile of our holding midfielder, they should be physical and firm on the ground, low center of gravity. So you define a short guy like Carrington and all, because holding midfielders usually, I think with the exception of Sergio Busquets, most of them are not tall, I think historically. Bebe Paul, why can Ten Hag give Amad Diallo a chance? That guy is too good. And people have been asking about Diallo and Greenwood in the event that we are to keep one, Diallo, Greenwood, and for Sancho, I think it's safe to say that we cannot Sancho to Greenwood and Diallo, even if Sancho has had more chances than Diallo. I think in terms of potential and what the future could look like, I think Sancho is a bit off. He also admitted himself he has got a lot to do. But if you bring back Greenwood and giving a chance to Diallo, and people are asking that question, which I thought was funny, whereas we love both. I think for me, anyone coming out to try to compare any player at United to any winger at United to Greenwood, I think it's either you are not following Hetafe or you're just trying to be funny, which is not. So for Diallo, I think he must be given his chances. He posted something on his Instagram saying he is waiting patiently, but Ten Hag seems to be stubborn. I think lately Eric Ten Hag has been even forced to at least rather, because Anthony is not good enough, and I think he sees that even if he brings him on, he's just exposing him. He would rather keep Garnacho there, even if he can't run, than bring on Amad Diallo. There is something not right between Ten Hag and Diallo. Maybe Maybe there's something we don't know. Maybe Eric Ten Hag is trying to test his patience. That maybe the boy has been saying a lot of things, and he's trying to show him and send a message to him that you can be patient. Put him there on the bench. Don't give him even 2 minutes, and see if he's going to have the right attitude. It's a way. Sometimes managers can test players. He'll just stubbornly not play you, yet he knows you need to be playing, but he won't play because I fail to understand why we all clearly see Garnacho needs to be substituted against Luton, but Eric Ten Hag won't pull him off for even 5 minutes to bring on Amad Diallo. There should be something maybe between the two that maybe could have been caused by the player or the players' representatives, the agents and stuff, but we may not know. But the reality is, I think with Sir Jim, the beauty is the young players, I think, are going to have a big chance with Sir Jim. I think the young players will definitely get their opportunities. So Amad Diallo's time is going to come with or without Eric Ten Hag, because it is now going to cease to be all about Ten Hag. We are constituting a team, and for as long as Amad Diallo fits the profile of the player that Dan Ashworth will define for us, Eric Ten Hag will be left with no option but to play him. Yeah, he will play him. So Bebe Paul, don't worry. Amad Diallo will play at Manchester United. He will play. His time is coming, and he is going to play. And trust me, he will be an important player for Manchester United. I saw Greenwood post something on his Instagram earlier today, and I think he was nominated among the best under 23 players. I saw it on his Instagram. Heights Studios, Amad is very good indeed. The boy is good. He's just not getting opportunities from the boss, but the opportunities will come. I'm trying to see. We've just been reminded of that Greenwood post. Greenwood posted something on his Instagram earlier today. I think he was nominated for something to do with young players. It was on his status, but I think like I've told you, I've been mostly under the weather today, and I wanted to screenshot it. I don't know how I forgot. But yeah, Greenwood, the beauty is Sir Jim is open to his return, and he will be humane in assessing his issues and coming up with a solution. I love how he said that that's his decision to make. So let's see. Let's wait and see what the decision will be. But yeah. So for Ahmad, I mean, Ahmad is young. He's still young. His time is going to come. I've got no doubt. His time is going to come by force or by love. His time will come. Eric Ten Hag will have no option. And Olin, I would prefer Greenwood to bring in more competition. Yeah, for me, I think we can accommodate both Greenwood and Ahmad. Ahmad is not yet. There is no justification for us to consider him a starter. So Greenwood is a straight starter at Man United if he came back, or any team he went to. So my thinking is, with Marcus Rashford gone, all you do is switch Garnacho to his preferred left. Then have Greenwood on the right. Amad Diallo is the substitute for either of the two, because Diallo can play either way, even Greenwood can play either way. If Greenwood is tired, bring him off, put on Amad Diallo. If Garnacho is tired, put him off, bring on Amad Diallo, put Diallo on the left, on the right, rather, let Greenwood go to the left, or they can even keep switching because they can all be inverted. So for me, I think with Rashford away, we can accommodate both. If in the event that it so happens that Greenwood returns, I think for me the right thing would be to keep. So if Marcus Rashford is sold, create space for Garnacho on the left. Garnacho leaves space for Greenwood on the right. Then the backup, the substitute, is for both of them is Amad Diallo. But also Diallo, can play as a number 10. Greenwood fits perfectly in Erik Ten Hag's style of play. Yeah. By the way, if Greenwood came, he would improve us. You see how I said at some point when I was saying when Kobe Maino returns from injury, he would improve United by more than 60%. I think if Greenwood came and joined our attack, he would improve us by another 40%. Would be nearly complete. If we just got a proper balance in the midfield, would be nearly complete. Because the teams that keep coming at, imagine if Mason Greenwood was in the game against Luton. I don't think the Luton guys would have the time to come at us the way they did. Never. He would keep them so busy that they could not even think of putting three passes together to come at us. That's what happens when you have two good players. Imagine you have Greenwood on one flank, you have Garnacho on the other. But also the presence of Greenwood alone will improve Garnacho. He would also want to be, he won't let Greenwood take the shine on him every game. He would also want to step up his game. That's the internal competition we talk about. Then they keep switching between the two. This one is on the right, then they switch. I like how Jokol said Jose Mourinho used to give him and Duff or him and Ian Robben freedom. They would switch on their own. You remember that Chelsea that won the Premier League with Robben, Ian Robben, and Joe Cole and Duff. That because Robben and Joe Cole would play from the flanks, from the wings, where Garnacho and Rashford play. But what Jose Mourinho will tell them is, for those two, you think just time yourselves and know when you will switch. One goes to the left, one goes. That's how Jose Mourinho was ahead of the time, by the way. When he was winning titles with his first stint at Chelsea, he was way ahead of the time. We realize it now. The things he was doing back then, but also him wanting always to play with those two, another holding midfielder, blocking midfielder close to what's his name, Obi, Mikel Obi. Yeah? He knew that you needed balance in the middle. People called it parking the bus, but it was winning titles. But they were calling it parking the bus, but it was winning titles and with less effort because there was balance. The things I keep talking, the thing, if Erik Ten Hag just, for me, I keep saying it, the reason why Erik Ten Hag has a bit struggled with some of the games is because of that. He has failed to do that. Just realize that you see, that's balance. You need that in the Premier League. Erik Ten Hag has stubbornly failed to adjust that. Mourinho was ahead of his time. Sir Alex Ferguson, his way of winning was he would score more than you. So for him, that's why he would have his Roy Keane who would just beat him, and Ferguson would play a flat 4-4-2. Anyway, so a flat 4-4-2 is like the Chinese wall or the Greek wall. It's like this. There were no tactics back then, so he was playing his flat 4-4-2 like this. But for him, his approach was attack and score more goals, win by scoring more goals than the opponent. So you will concede, but you score more. Concede, but make sure you score more. That's why Man U would attack you from the start of the game up to the end. You score, they score. You score, 90th minute, you're losing concentration, they score and they win. So Erik Ten Hag is failing on that. So yeah, Greenwood really fits in perfectly in any style of play, really, because Greenwood is exactly what Erik Ten Hag was hoping to get from Anthony. Greenwood is exactly. Anthony is. I wouldn't even want to say that because again that would be rating Anthony so high. I wanted to say Anthony is a poor man's Greenwood, but the right way to put it is Greenwood is exactly what Erik Ten Hag was hoping to get in Anthony. That inverted winger who is going to come and just do things with the ball, score goals, create chances, force rebounds and stuff. That's exactly what he's doing. That's why I'm saying it would be insane for Manchester United to spend money on Michael Olise when you have Greenwood. Unless you brought him back, or unless he says he cannot come back. He's happy in Spain and he doesn't want to restart life and again come back and take a few boos from a few fans. He's not willing to take that. But you see, on the flip side, with a player with character who has got the heart of United, that would be the exact motivation he would need. And trust me, and I keep telling people that if Greenwood returned to Manchester United in the summer, he would be the best footballer in the world because the motivation he would have to silence the few critics. Because Greenwood comes in the summer. That's why I keep saying that he's fearing the unknown. Greenwood comes one game like this and he scores a hat trick or sets up 2 goals and is exciting everyone. The same people booing him, the same people who are saying he should not come back, those hypocrites here would be the first people to forget and keep quiet. Because we've suffered for so long that all we need are results. And we know that with Kobe Maino in our midfield, with Garnacho playing on the left and Mason Greenwood on the right, with Hoyland scoring goals, who would care about, who would even open their mouth to start booing someone who was acquitted of any forms of charges? So, but he would come extremely motivated. So that motivation for me to prove a point, to silence critics, would even make him, because these very good footballers, that's all they need. The reason why Greenwood is playing the way he is at Getafe is because he was extremely motivated to prove a point that, you know what, I'm good. This is what you guys are losing by just trying to be insensitive and stuff. And that's why Getafe is benefiting. So if we brought him back, that boy would be a Cristiano. He would be a Cristiano. So if I'm Sir Jim, I swallow it, make that statement, bring the boy back, have him and tell the manager that boy should play. Yeah, it's life and death. Because if it doesn't work, he knows they're going to eat him. But he will be driven. He will have to make it work. He will beat up, he will break a leg. He would score somersault goals. He would flying headers and what? Boy, that's the hunger we need at United now. Trust me, our attack would be close to Tevez, Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney, which is the best attack we've had. You recall that Carlos Tevez, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney attack? If we have Hoyland, Garnacho, and Greenwood, that would be close to that. Because behind them, where they had poor scores, would have Kobe Maino. It's even giving me headache thinking about it. Gives me headache just thinking about it. Where are my painkillers? It gives me headache just thinking about it. I'll need to take a painkiller. Because imagine you're playing behind Greenwood. This Hoyland we've seen. This Hoyland has the ability to be even better than Wayne Rooney. Or as good as Wayne Rooney. So you have Hoyland and Garnacho. First of all, the presence of Greenwood will come with his hunger. Garnacho will also be motivated to also try and be in the headlines every weekend, competing with Greenwood. Then Hoyland will say, boss, you wingers are not taking the shine from me. Hoyland will be balling and looking for those nets. He will get balls from Onana, from goal, to try and score goals. Then Kobe Maino will be just saying, no, guys, it was my time. Because remember, these are young boys. That's their motivation. They will have their little internal competition. Then Kobe Maino will be doing magical things. He will be doing Ronaldinho and Zinedine Zidane things. First cause compared him to Zinedine Zidane. Kobe will also be a different problem in the middle, because just the presence of Greenwood will lift everyone up. It will motivate everyone up to step up their game, because this boy who was not playing for years is coming back and is taking all the headlines away from you. So for me, and you see, football is extremely psychological. At this time, if I'm Sir Jim, that's the only thing I do. Bring Greenwood back. I bring a replacement for Casemiro. Get a left back. Relax. Sit back. Relax. Go and enjoy your petroleum man on your yacht. Or you can go to the moon and watch games from another planet. That's what these billionaires do, isn't it? He can just then go and enjoy his man on another planet. They give him a special screen on planet Mars. Let him enjoy. This orgasmic football from these little lads. Trust me, United will create something we last saw with Tevez, Wayne Rooney, and Cristiano. If Greenwood was brought back into that team. Boy, Elan Espitile, man, that combination is dead alive. Man, think about it, bro. Just imagine. Just imagine with the hunger Greenwood has now. Drop him in that team. We have Hoyland. Hoyland has a natural hunger. Just has a natural hunger. If it wasn't for his hunger, he wouldn't have beaten Luton. It would have been a draw because they were not clinical, or they would have beaten us even. Then Garnacho, because he's 19, he's a young boy and he has been shining. By the way, Garnacho Loki is going to improve now because of the improvement of Hoyland, because he's also going to be motivated and driven. So Garnacho will be pushed. Way. We also need good, quick ball playing centre backs. Yeah, we need them. We do need good ball playing centre backs. We do, but for me, I keep saying that when we have a balance in the midfield with Kobe Maino, give Kobe Maino the right partner and play that midfield properly, organize it properly. It won't matter which centre backs we have. For as long as our midfielders are good and they are organized, because the centre backs' job then will be easy because they won't have a lot of work to do. So, and most of the centre backs today anyway can do pass. Even Evans, who is old school, can pass the ball a bit decently. But yeah, we certainly need them. You're right. I think the only centre back I admire is Martinez. Her boy, don't for Martinez. Martinez is. I feel like honestly, if only Martinez can be consistent for club and country, with Messi out of the game and Cristiano. Of course, now there's Kobe Mainu, and but of course, Kobe is still young. He will always now win. He's going to win the next best young footballer. What next year? He will be winning this what's best young footballer because he's 18. He will be 19 next season. So expect him to win this the award Jude Bellingham won. Even I think even Haaland won it at some point. But let me tell you, Lisandro Martinez, if he stays fit, plays an entire season for Man U, plays for Argentina, Martinez will be the next centre back to win the Ballon d'Or after Fabio Cannavaro. That's how good I rate that guy. Someone dispute my statement, and you can say I'm overrating him. But that's how good I rate Martinez. He's a better ball passer than Cannavaro ever was. Of course, Cannavaro was an old school centre back, heading, powerful, knocking. But let me tell you, Lisandro Martinez is just so good on the ball. Such a good pass of the ball, good in 1v1 situations, good attitude, so technical. So there's his class. He's a class act. So I think the only centre back I admire is Martinez, even if he's injury. He's an injury product. We need to sign one centre back equal to Martinez plus one left back. I agree. Yeah, Martinez and Todibo would be good. Martinez and Todibo would be good. Yeah, and the beauty about Todibo is he can also play as a right back in the event that we need some cover in the right. But Martinez is a class act. I think the best player at United, of course, now Kobe Maino has come. Maino is in his class. Just accept. Maino is in his class for an 18-year-old and what he has done and consistently. Maino is a class act. He's a special gift. But the best player at Man U, the best proven player at Man U is Lisandro Martinez. He's our best footballer. Martinez is such a baller because his mentality, his character, his attitude, his everything. Him and Kobe Maino are simply the two best footballers at United by far, by a mile. So, Licha, the butcher, don't talk about him, man. I'm beginning to miss him more now. You reminded me of him and I'm beginning to feel bad. I'm feeling more sick. You've made me feel more sick, remembering that you won't have him for Man City. Ernest Kavuta, bro, where have you been, fam? I've been waiting for you. I've got 5 minutes to leave. Now that you're here, I think only Alfred Sendwe is missing. Yeah, brother Webb, what you're saying is 200%. Watching you from Malawi. You spice my night, bruh. Keep up the good work. Thank you, my brother. You spice mine too. I'm just a little under the weather today, but I've got my capsule here, my painkiller, to make sure I have a good night. But yeah, uh, uh, that's it. For me, yeah, the 11 players, I think we spoke about them. The 11 players that Sir Jim wants out. The people. Oh, Alfred is here. I think I can now say, guys, have a good night. Alfred said, I had just spoken about you. I was telling people you're the only one missing from the usual class. I was about to make a roll call. Like, where is Alfred Sendwe? Badmas Basit is missing in class today. Why? No tuition, no school fees. What happened? Why isn't he in class? Hi, Alfred. Good to see you. Well, it's been a good nearly 1 hour. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Ernest Kavuta from Malawi, and of course, Anolina Liguma. Bebe Paul, I'm seeing you for the first time. Good to have you here. Elan Spire. Man, beautiful name, but difficult to pronounce. Good to have you on. Heights Studios. Good to have you on, fam. Thank you. And Anolin, of course, usual suspects. Thank you, guys. Let me just let you, I think, be for now. Let me just move on and go take some rest. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time as we discuss now the official preview of our Saturday game back at Old Trafford as we do take on Fulham. It will be a case of a Londoner taking on the boy from the city of Manchester. This will be an interesting one. We'll get proper into the probable starting 11s, the match lineups, but of course, that will be after us getting a proper detail of what's going on from the boss. Bro, at what time does your program start? I'm in Congo. Well, it starts the hour before. I don't know what time it is in Congo. Yeah, it starts at 10 p.m. Where I am, it's 10. It's 10 p.m. So 1 hour ago, almost 1 hour ago, it's coming to 11. So at 10, that's the time we start at 10 p.m. every day without missing a single day. At 10 p.m. 10 is 22 hours. Yeah? So 10 is 22 hours on the 24-hour clock. Alfred Sendwe, I'm here, Web. How are you doing? Have missed your show, but I will get back to the start. All right, brother. Let me let you enjoy it, guys. Let me go take some rest, and let's just go enjoy the night. We'll be catching up tomorrow at 22 hours. That's 10 p.m. Bebe Paul. Catch you tomorrow, guys, and everyone else who didn't comment. Everyone, you're all important. Just be sure to catch me again tomorrow because it will be a proper match preview. Of course, Eric Ten Hag will give a press conference tomorrow around. The press conference is usually around 2:30 or thereabout, so I'll be giving it to that's in the UK. So it's we are still 3 hours behind. It's still the winter, so it's about 5 something, about 5 p.m. So thereabout. So in the evening, I'll give you an update, a press conference reaction based on what he said. Going to the Pro Bowl 11, we'll have it in detail. But also remember, every match day we have a live watch along. So we shall have a live watch along on Saturday, starting at 45 minutes before kickoff. So kickoff is 6 p.m. That will be 5:15. I will be here for the watch along with the lineup and all. So guys, just make sure of all those. Take note so that we enjoy football together. Football is better enjoyed together. Guys, have a good night. My name is